1. Early expansion and rise of British naval power. In the early 1500s and 1600s, England began building the naval strength that would shape its future empire. Advances in ship design, long-distance navigation, and maritime mapping helped English explorers travel farther across the Atlantic and into new trade routes. By the late 16th century, under Queen Elizabeth I, England's navy became a serious global force. This early mastery of the seas laid the foundation for the British Empire's worldwide expansion. 2. British East India Company. The British East India Company was founded in 1600, beginning as a private trading corporation focused on spices, silk, cotton, and tea. Over time, it established trading posts across South Asia and gained administrative power through treaties, alliances, and commercial control. By the 1700s, the company governed large territories and managed its own army. Its rule continued until 1857, when the British Crown took direct control after the Indian Rebellion. 3. Colonization of North America and the American Revolution. British colonization in North America began in 1607 with the founding of Jamestown. Over the next century, 13 colonies grew along the Atlantic coast, supported by agriculture, trade, and migration from Europe. Tensions over taxation and governance led to the American Revolution in 1775. After 8 years of conflict, the United States declared independence in 1783. This marked the British Empire's first major territorial loss. 4. Expansion in Asia. During the 1700s and 1800s, British influence expanded across Asia through diplomacy, trade agreements, and strategic administration. Ports in South Asia, the Persian Gulf, Southeast Asia, and China became key hubs of commerce. By managing trade routes, establishing coastal settlements, and forming local partnerships, Britain increased its presence across the region. This expansion relied heavily on markets, shipping networks, and long-distance trade rather than direct territorial control. 5. The scramble for Africa. From the 1870s to the early 1900s, Britain joined other European powers in the scramble for Africa. Expansion focused on securing trade routes, mineral resources, and access to the Nile and southern African regions. Railways, telegraph lines, and coastal ports were developed to support commerce. By 1900, Britain controlled territories such as Egypt, Sudan, Kenya, South Africa, and Nigeria. This era reshaped Africa's political and economic landscape. 6. British rule in Australia and New Zealand. Britain established its first Australian settlement in 1788 at Sydney Cove. Over the next century, colonies expanded through agriculture, wool production, and migration. In New Zealand, formal British control began with the Treaty of Waitangi in 1840. Throughout the 1800s, cities, ports, and transport networks developed rapidly. By 1901, Australia became a self-governing federation, and New Zealand followed with its own dominion status in 1907. 7. Industrial Revolution and Imperial Growth. Beginning around 1760, the Industrial Revolution transformed Britain into a global manufacturing power. Steam engines, railways, ironworks, and large factories increased production at unprecedented levels. British ships transported manufactured goods worldwide, linking the empire through trade and communication. By the late 1800s, industrial technology strengthened Britain's economy, expanded its global markets, and supported its growing influence across multiple continents. 8. British military and naval dominance. From the 1700s to the 1800s, the British Royal Navy became the world's most powerful maritime force. Steam warships, advanced navigation, and strategic coastal bases allowed Britain to protect trade routes across the Atlantic, Indian, and Pacific Oceans. Naval superiority also ensured the movement of goods, information, and people throughout the empire. This control of the seas played a central role in Britain's global influence. 9. World Wars and the beginning of decline. During World War I, from 1914 to 1918, and World War II, from 1939 to 1945, Britain led major global alliances. These conflicts placed enormous strain on the empire's economy, military, and overseas resources. The fall of Singapore in 1942 signaled weakening imperial power in Asia. After 1945, financial pressures and shifting global politics accelerated the movement toward independence across many British territories. 10. Decolonization and the end of empire. Decolonization began after World War II, as nations across Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean sought self-rule. India and Pakistan gained independence in 1947, followed by many African and Caribbean states in the 1950s and 1960s. Economic changes, new national movements, and international pressure all contributed. The transfer of Hong Kong to China in 1997 marked one of the final symbolic steps in the end of the British Empire.